In one of the last streams that I did, I received this question. And I did answer it. But I answered it just in the conceptual way on how you would about go and do it. But what I would love to do in this video is actually give you the implementation. I'm going to create a boomerang. You will be able to grab it. This boomerang, you will be able to throw it and get some coins and also stun the enemies, just like the question asked. Usually this kind of videos doesn't do too well in views, but if you liked it, do let me know in the comments below. Also, I'm going to be applying a lot of things that are being taught in our UNF development program, so do check it out. To kickstart this project, I'm going to be using the third-person template with the combat variant. Here, I just want to open the level that is using the actual template. So whenever I press play, I have this character, and this character has some health, and also there are some enemies. To make my life a lot easier, I'm gonna click on my player start, and I'm going to move it to this part of the level, just before this other volume that is here. Just before it, I'm going to put it there and press end so it snaps. So now whenever I play, I'm right here and an enemy spawns. Now here's the first part of the question. And it's talking about making the boomerang as a weapon. Now, your definition of a weapon in your game is really up to you. It can be a weapon that is in the floor, and when it's on the floor, you can pick it up and you can drop it. Maybe it's just a weapon that you always have and you just are able to spawn it, and that's that. So I'll just try to guess what you would want to do with this. So in my imagination, I'm guessing that you will have your character that doesn't have a weapon. The weapon will be on the floor. So here's your boomerang. And just let's give it a little stripe just so it's cool and it's not like a croissant or anything. And when you pass over it, you pick it up. And when you have it, you just press a button. And when you press a button, you will actually launch it. And when you launch it, it will eventually reach a point that it should come back towards you. Something like that. So that's how I'm imagining it when you are telling me that your boomerang is a weapon. So let's create that. Some key things that you need is, well, your player or your character and the boomerang. Those are those two classes, those key classes that this system will be using. In Unreal, let's create first the boomerang class. I'll just create a folder here called for my project. So here it is, boomerang weapon. And inside of it, I'll just create a blueprint class. It's going to be an actor. And inside that actor, that I'm just calling BP Boomerang, inside of it, I need some components. So I need a component that can work whenever this is moving as the main collision, right? So for now, this should be an static mesh. And I'm gonna set it as a root. Then I'm gonna add a sphere collision that this will be used as the thing that will actually do the damage whenever it collides with anything. And then to actually handle the movement, you can do a lot of stuff with the projectile movement component. So these are the three components that I will be using. And I do need some kind of a static mesh here. Let me just find something on Fab. And you can either search in your library, maybe you have something. I did get some Quixel assets for free a long time ago, maybe last year it was that they made this. So you had to pay. So here in more filters, I'll just put price free and search for a weapon. And a sword, maybe an axe, maybe these shears could work as a boomerang. Yeah, why not? Why not an axe? Okay, so I'll just use this one. I just need a low quality. I don't want this project to be too heavy. Right, so I got the axe here, and I'm gonna set it up as my mesh. So here I have it. Now, it's a good idea to think that the x-axis is going to be the front. So yeah, I mean it's okay. I do want it to rotate in like in this manner. And let me just in this manner. I cannot rotate it because this is the the root asset, but yeah, and because it's the root asset, uh, yeah, we will have to see how we can sell that effect that we want. Yeah, so maybe in the future I'll just put the sphere first. Yeah, and I can do it now. Yeah, I can do it now. Yeah, so later on it's easier for me to just rotate this without messing around with any of the logic. Right, so this will be my blueprint for the boomerang. Later on, I'm gonna change some settings here of the sphere and of the projectile movement. For now, uh, let's just let's just give it an initial speed of 3,000, just so it moves around whenever I actually spawn it. Now let's go to the character, because the character needs to hold this as a weapon. So my character should be in variant combat blueprint, and here it is, the combat character. So let's just open it. And the only thing that this character needs to do is to be able to hold it somewhere, right? For now, I'm not gonna bother too much on how it will hold it. I just want it to hold it. So whenever this, where is it? Capsule component overlaps my boomerang, and I can just right click here and on component begin overlap. If it's overlapping my boomerang, and if you add more classes, more weapons that you want to hold, you probably would need to create a base class called weapon, and from there a child class called boomerang. But for now, it's not my case, so cast to boomerang. So when this is a boomerang, I just want to hold it. To hold it, what I'm just going to do is first remove any collision that the boomerang could have that may cause problems with my player. And next, I just want to attach it. To what? I don't know, but to something. Now, it would be even better if the boomerang is in charge of what will happen to it. So here, in the boomerang, I'll just create a, yeah, it could be a function called grabbed. And this function will have an input that says grabbed by this character. And this should be a character reference. Okay, I will fill it in a minute. And here, I'll just call it. Okay. Let's just grab it. By who? By this character. Now, if for whatever reason this character can't grab it or that boomerang couldn't be grabbed, I don't want to save any variable to it. So here, I mean, I don't want to acknowledge that this grab happened, right? So this boomerang, this function needs to have an output, and this needs to be a boolean, just so we know that we grabbed it. And here in the character, if we did grab it, then it's a good idea to save a reference to this boomerang. So I'll just promote it to a variable and call it grabbed weapon. Again, if you were wanting to have multiple weapons, this should be a base class, or it could be just an actor, and then you just send this stuff with interfaces. But again, this is a super small test, so yeah, don't just think that I just cast to everything and save hard references to a class that may or may not be used in the future. Now, to actually grab the weapon, what you want to do is implement this. And it's very easy. First, I'm going to save this variable because we may use it later on. And next, I'm just going to attach this actor to a component. Now, why to a component? Because the actor, which is the target self, it's going to be this actor, the boomerang, and the parent will be a component inside this grabbed by this character. And I know this is a character because I set it up like that. And because I know this is a character, I can get it's a static mesh. I believe we call it just get mesh. And from here, I can attach it like this and then set up a socket name. As a socket name, I can just put a bone. I think so. Let me test it. But I believe I can just put a bone. If I can't, then I'll just create a socket. Now to check which bone or socket I can use, here in combat character, let's just go to mesh. Let's double click on top of this skeletal mesh. And here you will find all the bones inside your character, right? So there's a hand L, and there should also be a hand R. So you can use the hand R. There's already a socket called hand grip, so I'll just copy the name. We can try to rename it and then copy it. So yeah, I'll just be using this socket. Let's go back to the boomerang. Here it is. Then I'll just, the location, I'll just snap it to the target. The rotation also. And the scale, I'll just keep it in the world scale. So yeah, if we manage to attach this, then we can tell that yeah, we grabbed it. It's okay. And even better, like probably this should only be set if the attachment was correct. So let me just change the location of both of these and add here a branch. And if this is true, then this will happen. This will be true. And if this is false, then we didn't grab anything, right? So it should look something like this. Now, if you don't like long wires, you can just right click and call this same name, like grabbed. And here, get grabbed by this character. The only issue with this is that this is the same name as this input, so you can get very confused by it. So let me just rename this to reference and remove the spaces. Removing the spaces is optional. Don't worry. It's just a thing I do. And yeah, now that I know this is the reference, like we can get grabbed by this character, and this is the one that I want because it is a local variable of this function because it's the input. So I can connect it like this, and now I don't have a long wire that I really don't like. Oh, and after cleaning things up, like I got this mixed up. Probably you already caught this error. This should be like this. Because right now this variable is empty and it only gets filled if the attachment worked. And so yeah, that was a that was an error that I made. Also, if the attachment worked, I mentioned it, but I didn't do it here. We need to remove the collision. The sphere one is by default overlap, but the static mesh by default it has block all dynamic. So sometimes if you just want to add some physics, this will be useful. I don't want to add some physics. The movement will be handled by the projectile component, so I'll just remove it. If you do want it here, and I'll just put no collision. If you do want it to have something, then here you can add that collision, right? And I will do it like that, just so it's more flexible. So here, static mesh, set collision enabled, and I'll just put no collision. And I'll put it here. And now I have it like this. So we attach it. If we can attach it, then we remove the collision, and then we set up the variable here so we remember whose character is right now grabbing this weapon, and we just return a true value. Otherwise, we just say, hey, that grab didn't happen. Now, when we want to test this, we can just put the boomerang here. But a funny thing will happen. If I just simulate this, you will find that something happened there. It moved because right now this projectile movement, if we go to the activation part, is auto-activating. If we remove this, then it won't auto-activate, and I will actually find it on the ground. And when we touch it, there we have it in our hand. The positioning is not the best. I mean, we can play around with the... Let's open again the skeletal mesh. We can play around with the socket, this one, and rotate it a little bit so we can actually get something a lot more decent. Let's see if that did the trick. Almost. Something like this. Yeah, and I'm just missing a rotation there, but I mean, for me, that's good. And I think I just need to rotate this 90 degrees here. If you want the actual settings, let me first check that this is working. Yeah, that's a lot better. These are the rotation that I'm using. Right, so let me save this. And yeah, we just saw that we can actually grab the weapon. Now let's actually throw the boomerang. To throw it, I will actually need to do something, like any input. So the input that I'll be using is the one that already exists in this template. If you're playing the game, you can just punch. Even if I, I get the weapon, I can still punch. What I'm gonna do is that if I'm holding the weapon, then I'll throw the weapon instead of punching. Right? So here, I'll just need to find where this is the death, and I can search for the events here. Do an attack trace, combo attack. Here it is. So this is very important. Before doing this, I'm just going to check, hey, am I actually, do I have actually have a weapon on me? Because if this is valid, I'll just get convert to validated get. If this is valid, it means that I do have a weapon on me. So started here, valid here. Excuse me, not valid. Because if I don't have a weapon, then I do want to make my logic work, right? So yeah, let's now do something with it. Inside the boomerang, I should also have a function called throw. And I'll just call it here in the character. This throw should get rid of the reference of the boomerang. So here, when it's thrown, because it's no longer grabbing it, I just need to check if the throw was a good one. If you did actually throw, maybe you're falling, and when you're falling, you cannot throw the boomerang. I don't know. It really depends on the type of game. But I can put here throw successful. And if this is true, let's save and compile. If this is true, then I just want to get rid of this reference. And yeah, let me leave it like this so it's easier to see what we are adding here. Right. So with that, I only need to implement this, right? For now. Later on, we will talk about how to make it come back. But for now, let's just throw the weapon. Let's open this by double clicking the node. And to throw it, first, let's detach the character. The boomerang. So here, detach from actor. I'll put it here. Let me just disconnect this and I'll just add it at the end. Detach from actor, and the target is the actor. So this detaches the root component of this actor from any scene component it is currently attached. Okay, so that's fine. Let's just keep everything to world. And now that the actor is detached, we can get the projectile movement and get and activate it. This activation will make it so it will start moving, or at least it should start moving. Now let's see what's happening with this. So we get it. We get the weapon and we throw it. I mean, as you saw it, hopefully you did. We are throwing it, but we're only throwing it in a certain direction. Right? Yeah, it's always going to that side. So that's an issue. To fix the issue, well, we need to position it on the correct location. So we are detaching it. We should also enable a collision just so we don't forget. So let's get the static mesh here. Let's enable collision, enable, set collision enable. This should be collision enabled. Then we should set up the rotation of this actor, of the boomerang. So set actor rotation. We're gonna use to the value. We're gonna use the value that our combat character has towards the place that it's looking toward. Now to do that, we have this variable called grab by this character. We're gonna get it. This is a character, so from the character, I can ask for the control rotation. And this is the one that we want. The control rotation will be the rotation towards what my camera is looking right now. And if I just leave it like this, and I won't activate it just yet, we should be able to get it, click, and then it should be on the position and in the rotation that we want, right? So if we just do it like this and activate it, you may find a little problem. Okay, it's going that way, but from here, if I look towards, it is still going that way. Now, why is that happening whenever this boomerang with the projectile component is created? Is using that rotation to drive this initial speed. So I need to change the current velocity and then activate it so it actually gets the correct location. From the projectile movement, let's grab the set velocity, excuse me, and we're gonna use this node, set velocity in local space. The new velocity, and it's on the local space. I mean, it's gonna use the new rotation that we have set up here. So the only thing we need to do is here split, and from the projectile movement, get initial speed, and will just connect it like this, and then we will activate our boomerang. Now we should be able to look that way, and it's gonna go that way. So let's just arrange this a little bit. So we detach it, we enable the collision of the static mesh, we set up the rotation of this boomerang, then we update the velocity so it will actually go towards the location that has been set up here. And then we activate it to make it actually start the movement. And then we say, hey, the throw was successful. Now, if you play with it, you will see that it's following an arc. And maybe 300 is too much. So let's just put 2,000 instead of 3,000. Right, so it is affected by gravity and is not following the rotation. So let me just, rotation follows velocity. That way, if we are throwing, for example, this, yeah, now it's actually following. Maybe that it's too small to notice, but I'm noticing, so that's why I'm enabling it. And I'm going to either set the projectile gravity scale to 0, or I believe there was a check to disable the gravity. If it wasn't here, then it was in another component and I'm mistaken. So let's just put this to 0. Because I just want my boomerang to go in a certain direction and never stop until it reaches some place. Right, so at least we are throwing it. And the only thing we need to do is a way to get it actually back, right? So to get it back, you need to decide how and when. It could be because of distance, it could be time, it could be when it collides with something. I don't know. It's really up to you. In my case, I'm just going to do it by time. This means that whenever I throw it, then I'll just have a timer that will run a function that will make it so I get it back. So I can here, after I activate everything and the throw, well, will be successful. Before doing that, I'm going to set up a timer. And this timer will be by event. And the event, let's just create one. And instead of creating a matching event, I'm going to create a matching function. Because, I mean, it's fine. I don't need nothing too fancy inside of it. I don't need to use timelines. I don't need to use delays here inside this function. So instead of calling it throw, I'll just call it return. Or return boomerang or return trajectory or whatever. Return. Here, I'm going to use another property inside the projectile movement. Inside the projectile movement, you will find this homing section. So what I'm going to do when this function runs is get the projectile movement. I'm going to set homing. And we need to set these three things. The first one will be the component, because I don't want to enable the homing movement unless this component is already filled by any type of information. In this case, it will be this one, grabbed by this character reference. Right, so as you saw, I cannot just get it directly because this is a homing target component. So I need a component. The component that I will be using is the capsule component. And it should be at the end of everything. Yes, here. And the next thing from the projectile movement will be the magnitude. If I don't set up the magnitude, which you can actually set it up, if you always want it to be the same magnitude, you can come here and just change this value to whatever you like. But I want it to match the current velocity. So from the projectile movement again, and let me just copy and paste this so I don't have a node dragging from the other side. Here, get velocity, this one, and I'll just get the length of it. Or just ask for the vector length. Yeah, this is the one that I want. So instead of getting this, I'm gonna set the homing acceleration magnitude. Great. Now the only thing that is left is to set up the boolean that says if it's a homing type of projectile or just a normal projectile. So set homing, set this homing projectile. Let's just set it to true, and let's press play. Right. So let me just arrange this a little bit. And here's what we're doing: setting up the component to home into, setting up the acceleration magnitude, and then actually make it so it's a projectile that has that homing capability. So let's go back to throw. Okay, this function is okay, the return one. I want it to return after 0.5. Probably this would be better as a variable. Let's just call it time before boomerang returns. and it should be 0.5. Okay, so now that we are doing this event, we can test it. There will be some issues, but we can test it very quickly here. After 0.5, it should return to us. Now, I cannot see it. So, and you can see, if you saw it correctly, that the projectile never stopped. It kept trying to home into that location, trying to move toward that location. Why? Because, well, when we grab it, we do need to tell it to stop this, right? So whenever this is grabbed here, before attaching anything, I'll just get the projectile movement, set homing projectile to false. And there we have it. Let's now save and compile, and let's test it again. It's going to return to us, and now I'm not grabbing it. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, so I forgot a simple step that I remember when I was testing this. So this is okay. We do need to stop it from being a homing projectile, but first we do need to deactivate the the projectile movement overall. So we just need to deactivate this thing, right? Now when I press play and we just launch our thing, it's there. Now, why did I also disable the homing thing? Because right now, and this was the other issue that I ran into when I was testing it, if I just launch it again, it's going to work very weirdly because it is still trying to home into my location. So that's why I was setting the is homing projectile false also. Otherwise, when we throw it again, even though we're setting a velocity, it's not gonna matter. It's just going to keep using that magnitude. What was the name? That homing acceleration magnitude. Yeah, so I just got the order wrong in my notes. This was first, and then you will have the issue that, hey, it's not throwing the boomerang correctly. So then this is also needed. Right, so in our grab function, we deactivate the projectile movement. I mean, this doesn't matter because when we throw it, we're gonna activate it again. But if we're getting it back, it's a good idea to deactivate it. So this is okay. We're setting up the projectile as not a homing projectile. Component. This is fine. This is the same thing. When we throw it, we have exactly the same. Like we enable the collision that we disabled before. This is fine. We activate it, return. Yeah, and we just added this, right? And in our return, as we saw before, we just set the component, which is our character. This is the homing acceleration magnitude, homing projectile. So now we have it, our own, and I'll just run it here as a quick test. We have our own homing type of projectile. Now, there is like that issue if it touches the ground. Yeah, I mean, it's not a good look if it touches the ground. So what we can do here is using the sphere of this boomerang, we add a component begin overlap. And let me just check the collision settings, presets, overlap all dynamic. If we're colliding with a world static, then probably it's not my character and it's something like a wall. So for example, this, if I just check the collisions, which is the default ones, I'll just put custom so I can check it. This is a world static. So I can put here in the boomerang, when this sphere collides with an actor, and this actor, can I get the collision type? Get collision, get actor enable collision. No, this is not it. Mm, hmm. The logic that I wanted to use, and I needed to get from the overlap component here, like get the collision object type, and then if this is the same as static, then I can do something. The problem with that is that this object, okay, it is a world static, and let me just set it back to default. But the problem about this is that by default, it doesn't generate overlap events. And this is another another property is this one that I was looking at, the generate overlap events. And most of things don't generate those overlap events because it's a little bit costly if all your level is generating overlap events. So, I mean, it would be just better if your boomerang was in charge of knowing with which things it's colliding, right? So here, instead of using this, because this begin overlap will work, but mostly with other blueprints, like for example, this combat character, if I just print this information, like what type of collision type am I colliding with, here it should say, okay, it's a world dynamic type of collision every time it's colliding with my character. Although I was expecting that this would be a pound collision type of collision. Which is weird. Oh, this overlap component is this one, this sphere. Excuse me, is this one, the other actor. Yeah. Yeah, but it's still, yeah, pound. Now it's saying pound. It's not going to register when it collides with walls, right? Yeah, it's not actually registering the word static. Unless I come here and I just put this one as generate overlap events, and now we should be able to have that information. Yeah, word static. Yeah, but yeah, it's not a good idea. It's not really a good idea to just set up the overlap events of all the things that are on my level. Let me just put it back as it was. So another solution for this, which I'm actually gonna use this, but for the next thing, for the next question, which was stun enemies and grab coins to collect, I'm gonna use that. But I do want it to return whenever it collides with some type of of wall or floor or whatever. So what I'm gonna do is when it's thrown, I'm gonna add another timer, and that timer, because I don't really want to use a tick timer, I don't need to check like every frame if it's collided or not. I mean, I won't get mad if my boomerang like crosses a little bit of the wall it has collided. So I mean, I can put it on tick if you need to be super like super sure that it's checking every frame. But I'll just put a timer. Or maybe I could even use the tick and change, which actually it will be less of a hassle. Here in the tick, I can set up the interval like 0.1 or 0.2. and we can decrease it if we need it to be a little bit more precise. Right, so let me just first delete this. And in the tick, if this has been thrown, so if the projectile movement is active, I'm going to be checking. And I'm just going to be doing a sphere. If I do the sphere overlap actors, mm, will it get me the other things? I don't think so, because I'm not generating overlap events. Probably a sphere trace is the most reliable in this case. So sphere overlay, a sphere trace by channel, and here trace channel visibility. This is fine because everything here by default, the custom one will block the visibility channel and well also the camera. Let's go back to default. And here in my boomerang, it will be very simple. It will start here on the same boomerang. So get actor location. The end will be the forward location of this actor, the forward vector, excuse me. Get actor forward vector plus, or well, excuse me, multiplied. And I'm just going to multiply it by 1 because I just need a super quick sphere trace. And I'm going to add it. Sometimes if you just ask it like this, doesn't work exactly as you would expect it. So that's why I'm doing it like that. So here I'll just add just like this. Visibility, this is fine. Trace complex, everything's fine here. Now, the only thing that could pose a problem to this is colliding with the actual actor. So in actors to ignore, I'm just going to make, I can't type, make an array, and I'm going to put the grabbed by this character reference. So we are not looking for the characters that throw these boomerang. Good, and this variable is only going to be cleared if for whatever reason I add a button to drop the boomerang. Then I would, instead of grabbed, would be gonna either be ungrabbed or dropped. And there I will just clean this. So yeah, another character can actually use it. Right. And here, this trace by channel will be the thing to know if this is true. I'm just going to break this. From here, I can get the hit actor or the hit component, which is a little bit more interesting to do the same logic. I'm gonna get the collision object type. If it's an static collision, I can do something. Or I think better yet, it should always return unless it's going to hit a character or a coin, then it shouldn't hit that. So for now, I'll just leave this like this. When it's true, I'm going to make it return. Just like that. Now, to make it return, just so we don't have issues later on, let's remember that when we throw it, we have this timer. We don't want to make it return before that timer, or I mean, if it collides with something, we want to immediately return. But this means that if we call this before this timer ends, this timer will be calling this function again. And we don't want to call something 2 times. So I'm going to create a variable. This will be the return timer reference. And this return timer reference, when we return, then we don't need it. So let's just clear it here. Here, clear and invalidate. So let me just put it here. So our return is the same thing, but we're gonna clear the timer immediately before we do whatever we need to do when we return our boomerang. Now, whenever we throw it and this timer gets created, whenever that return things happen, then we clear the timer so we are not calling it twice. Now this should look good enough. If we hit the floor, nothing happened. Perfect. Now we can debug this. Whatever we do, we can debug it by here, duration. And let me just call it from here. Yeah, and we are not able to see it. Why? Why are we not able to see it? Just so I can debug it correctly, let me just put that tick as 0, 0. And I'll put here for 1 frame because it's going to be called every frame. Oh, and here our radius, this is the problem. Our radius is empty, is 0. It should probably be our sphere. And we'll get the radius here. And let's get the scale radius just in case, for whatever reason, maybe a power up can make our boomerang bigger. So now we should be able to see. Yep. And it's coming back to me. And whenever I was hoping it was going to come back to me. Let me check. As always, a good idea to check the code. And after checking the code, the problem is not that we are not returning. We are returning. But the velocity is too fast. So if I just try to return it by hitting here, it's not gonna do it immediately. Now, to actually do it immediately, then we need to either, here in the boomerang, in our return, we can set up the velocity, like set velocity. We can set the velocity in local space or set the velocity directly. I just want 0, 0. This will mean that every time it collides with something, it's going to stay there. The problem is that this is happening every frame. And I mean, I can return it to 0. 0.2. And it should be nearly the same. I mean, it's colliding there. It collided a little bit too slow. So yeah, maybe just we can tweak it. I may end up just using the tick and be done with it. Right? Because it's still playing this return, we need to have a way of just setting it up as running it only once. And I do not want to use a do once because I know when this should return and when it's already returning. When it is returning, we get rid of this timer. So we just need to ask, hey, is this timer? Because I can also create a boolean, another boolean, like, oh, hey, is it returning, or is the homing active or not? Like a lot of ways I can check it. But the timer, I mean, I already have it. I already created it. So let's just ask, is it valid? If it is, then let's just connect it to true. Because If it is valid, then I can return for the first time. After I return for the first time, then this won't be valid and it won't matter if we're calling the return, it won't execute. So let's press play. And now, there we have it. Now, if you don't like this, how it feels, I mean, as you see, it's not tracing every frame. We can make it. I mean, if you're gonna have only one boomerang, two boomerangs, 10 boomerangs, even 20 boomerangs, it's gonna be fine. Ticking for traces, I mean, the 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 collision system itself does more operations than that. So I mean, if you're gonna have 100 boomerangs at the same time, then it is really not advisable to abuse the tick like this. And I mean, I'm really not abusing it that far. I'm just doing a trace. So yeah, we won't have an issue. If you would want a faster return, which I mean for me is just fine. Yeah, because it gives you like a time to process what you did. If you want a faster return, you can just set up this velocity. Instead of 0, you can maybe invert it to the direction, to the opposite direction, then it will come faster. But yeah, I mean, for now, it's fine. We just check this, then clear the reference, do the same things that we were doing, and finally set the velocity to 0 so it can use the acceleration magnitude by itself. Now, this tick, let me just arrange it a little bit. So we have the projectile movement, the sphere traceway channel. We're gonna use this later, don't worry about it. And then we're gonna just return. Let's save, compile, and that's it for this return functionality. Now let's go to the second part of the question, which is can stun enemies and grab coins to collect. And both of these are very similar. But let's start with can stun enemies, right? In this template, they already give us enemies. I believe it's in variant combat. In blueprints, would it be? I think they just use the same combat character. Oh no, AI, combat enemy. Here it is. So you will just need to know what is an enemy. What should I consider an enemy? Because right now my boomerangs, when my boomerang collides with my combat character, the combat character just grab it. I can use the same logic. So when it collides with a combat enemy, instead of just grabbing it, it will do something else, right? So in this case, I don't want my enemy class to do the collision part because my boomerang is initiating the action. In the other case, in this other case where my boomerang is just here, when my boomerang is just here, it's not doing anything. And when my character passes over it, my character is the one initiating the action. So that's why my combat character, I decided that this one should be the one that, oh, I'm going to cast it to a boomerang. And if it's a boomerang, I'm going to grab it. But here's the other way around. The boomerang will be flying around and it's going to collide with an enemy. Right? So we can either use our trace. So instead of it returning, I'm going to do something else, which it would be a good idea, maybe. Or we can also use the begin overlap that the sphere has. And if it's colliding with another action, I can do something with it. Right? So there are a lot of things that can happen. And the best way to communicate whenever I need to do something to the other enemy. Usually it's through damage. Why? Because if I'm hitting an enemy, you should consider it damage. And damage is something that it's built in as an interface in all actors. So if I just applied a damage, and here just put the other actor, boom, I'll have damage. And in my combat enemy, I can use the event any damage, well, which is already being used, and it's gonna do some damage, right? And with the damage type, I can maybe add a damage type that will only stun. But the tricky thing about this is that if your damage is 0, this won't get called. Even though in our boomerang we may be applying some damage, it won't happen. I can do here apply damage. Base enemy. If maybe I can put here like, oh, damage type stun. It won't matter. If this is 0, it won't be called. That's the only caveat that you could have whenever you're using the apply damage system. So because the question states like, oh, I only want to stun the enemies, and then also it's going to grab some coins, then I mean, it won't be that good of an idea to apply damage, to use the damage system. So instead, I'm going to create my own interface that about the actions that the boomerang can do whenever it hits something, right? So to do that, let's go back to my boomerang weapon. Just going to create here in Blueprint an interface. And I'm using an interface instead of a cast because I don't really care what type of class we are hitting or we're colliding with. I only care if they are implementing something that I'm defining in the interface. So Blueprint interface, let's just call it boomerang actions. And the functions, which as you can see, they are read-only functions. I'm going to be defining the name, for example, stun actor or character. And here, grab actor or maybe character. I don't know, but maybe I can stun more things than just an enemy. I don't know. But here it is, stun actor, grab actor. If I needed to do some damage here, I could also send how much damage I will be doing, right? But if you're gonna do damage, you might as well use the damage interface that already comes pre-built with every actor. Right? We have these two functions. If we need something else here, we're gonna add the input. But for now, we don't. I don't think that we need more. Maybe for the grab actor later. But okay, for the stun actor here in the boomerang, I'm just going to get the other actor that I collided with. This is the boomerang. I just sphere at the event, and here it should be the component begin overlap, which is this one. And let's just ask, hey, is this actor implements the interface? And I should send my newly created interface, this one. If it is implementing the interface, then we can do more stuff. We can check if it's an enemy or a character. So if it's a character, maybe I can just stun it. But not only do I need to determine that it's a character, because if I just stun characters, I will also stun my combat character when it collides with it. So we do need to make that distinction. What is making this combat enemy different than my character? I don't know. So the only thing that can really help me here is check, is this actor that I'm colliding with different than the character that grabbed this this boomerang. And if it is this different, okay, it's not the same character, it's not my main character, it's not my combat character. So we might as well just stun it. Stun actor on like this. So here we're testing that it has the interface. Here we're testing that it isn't the same actor that throw the boomerang. If for whatever reason we had teams, then we do need to check, or well, depends if you want friendly fire in your game or not. But for now, we do not have teams. We just want to know if we're colliding with the same character that throwed this boomerang. And if we did throw it, then well, and collided with something else, then we stun the actor. This means that if I throw it against the other AI, it's gonna stun it. But I do need here in the combat enemy, I do need to implement the interface, otherwise it's not gonna do anything. So here in implemented interfaces, I'm going to add the boomerang actions. And with the boomerang actions added here in interfaces, I can stun the actor. Now, what will stunning the actor means? For now, I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can do this. You can stop the logic, the AI logic. You can stop its movement. In my case, I'm just going to delay the set. What was the name of the overall? It was not delay, it was dilation. We can set the global time dilation. This is not the one that we need, otherwise the whole game will slow down. We can set custom time dilation and we can put it as near 1 for now. Okay, so let's check it. Let's see if that's working. It's there. It's going to attack me. And then there we have it. We set the time dilation. The time dilation can never be 0, but when you just send 0, where is my combat enemy? If you just set it to 0, it's going to be a number really near 0, but it cannot be 0 at all. But it should look like it just stuck. Even though it's not 0, as you can see, it's moving very faintly. I don't think it's gonna be noticed. So, right, we have that. The only thing is that we do need to get it out of this state. If we put a delay here and we set the custom time dilation back to 1, you will find that it may not happen at all. Oh, it did happen. Okay, but color me surprised. I thought this delay was going to be affected by this custom time dilation, but it seems that it's affected by the overall world dilation. Okay, let me try it again then. After 1 second, yeah, but I mean that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I wasn't expecting this to work. Okay, we have the stand. That's pretty much it for the stand. Then I thought I would have need to do some workarounds in order for it to work. That's good. That's pretty good. And now let's finally answer the last question, which was grab coins to collect. Right, so there are 3 things I believe that we need to understand here. First, we do not have coins that we can collect. Second, when we collect it, I mean, it would be a good idea to show it. For now, I'll just print a string. You could probably connect it to a UI, but that will make it so it's gonna take maybe another 10 to 20 minutes, and it's already long enough. And grabbing the coins. What does it mean? Does it mean that you will actually see it grabbing the coins? Let's first start with the coins, okay? Let's go back to Unreal and let's create our coins. Boomerang weapon. I'll just put it here. Probably I would prefer another folder, but I mean, I'm calling like this overall video or tutorial about the boomerang, so it's fine. Just a blueprint class, an actor. This will be a coin coping. I don't know why I typed this. I'm out of my source, and my English also is failing me. This is the second day. I should have tried to finish this tutorial on one sitting, but yeah, here we are. So let's create a coin. Here in the coin, I do need a static mesh. Yeah, static mesh. I do need something to represent my coin. Let me see if I can find something in Fab. And yeah, in the Quixel thing that I had, well, in the free assets that I have downloaded over the years, here I have it, an old Roman coin. I think it will be fine. Low quality for me is good enough. This is just a test. Let's add it to the project. Let's set it up as the static mesh. I can also do this. And I think it's definitely too small. Let me just drag and drop my coin here. I'll just drag and drop a character just so I can have the scale of everything. So my coin is definitely super small. To fix this, let me just find my coin. Here should be all Roman coin. Let's just get it here. And let's go to the modeling tools. We have already used them, I believe. And I'll just go to Xform, transform the selected meshes. I'm just going to increase the scale. I think that's good enough. So I'll just put 13. I'll put the transformation complete. And it would be a good idea to rotate this. So let me go to the transformation again. Which one is X here? X. So I'll just rotate it like this. And this should be 90. And I'll rotate it also 90 degrees this way. So it's looking towards the x-axis. Let's complete. And finally, let's bake. Let me just select this. And let's bake the transformation. So every other instance that I will drag and drop from my content drawer is going to have the same thing. So we're baking the rotation, we're baking the scale. Accept. So now our coin has the same things. I can delete this one because my coin now it is working. Perfect. The coin here, it should also have a sphere collision. So sphere. Yeah, something like this is fine. The sphere, I'll want to make that the new root. And finally, to collect it, whenever this gets overlapped, I should probably have maybe either an interface or the combat character could check if we are collecting the coin. So custom event, collect coin, collect coin. This should be just, it should add something. I'll just going to destroy the actor. So if I go back to the selection mode and play and go towards the coin, okay, the other actor collected for me. So that works, right? Let me just put some coins. No, not these ones. My blueprint. Let me just put my blueprint and duplicate this with Alt. Well, by holding Alt. Yeah, so if we press play, we get our boomerang and we try to collect them, which is gonna be tricky. Okay, so they get collected, but it's not actually grabbing the coins, right? So we have a little bit of an issue because they're getting collected, which getting collected just means getting destroyed, right? And that's not good. In order for it to not to do that, first, I'm just going to disable it, the overlap sphere. I mean, the thing that we're doing when the overlap happens, I'm not disabling the overlap at all. And in our, where is my boomerang action? No, where is my boomerang? In our boomerang, we're gonna check, hey, is this something that can be stunned? Which right now we're checking, okay, we're not colliding with my character, but we're not checking if we're colliding with another character. So we're gonna check, hey, is this a character? So cast to character. And let me just put everything a little bit here. So we're checking, does it implement the interface? Is it the same character? And now we're checking if it's actually any type of character. If it's a character, we're gonna stun it. As simple as that. And you don't need to feel bad about using a cast because the character class always gets loaded with the engine. If I was just getting like a cast directly to the combat enemy, maybe that's not that much of a good idea, unless you will always have combat enemies in your game. But for me, I mean, this gets loaded with the engine, so don't feel bad. It is not, and again, I want to stress this, it is not about practice to use casts. It's there for a reason. It's just about practice to use it everywhere. And just because you just saw a tutorial that always use casts, I mean, sometimes it's fine. Sometimes it isn't. But if you want to know more about it, I have like a lot of videos on it. Especially the ones that talk about casting, about blueprint communication. You can probably find a video that I did is over maybe 2 hours long that talks about casting, talks about interfaces, and talks about event dispatchers. So here, if it isn't a character, then it means it could be a pawn, it could be an actor, it could be anything. Yeah, and actually, should I stun pawns too? Maybe, but I'll just leave it like this. If it isn't a character, I'm gonna assume it's just an actor. So I'm just going to grab the actor. Just like that. And this is not going to grab walls because the walls are not implementing the interface. So you don't need to worry about that. And what does it mean to grab the actor? Okay, I don't know. The actor needs to tell this boomerang what is going to mean that. Here in the grab coin, I do need to implement the interface. So let's go to class settings, implemented interfaces, add the blueprint interface for my boomerang actions. And now here in the interfaces section, we have the grab actor. So let's just implement it. And we want to attach this to my boomerang. To attach it, it's as simple as just calling again, attach actor, to another actor, which will be my boomerang. The target is the self, and the parent actor is the thing that I want to attach to. So here, I do need information about the boomerang. So let's go to my blueprint interfaces, grab actor, inputs, and let's call this variable of the actor type, actor reference. Let's just call it boomerang reference. Let's save. In our coin, we do need to refresh this. And the parent actor will be the boomerang. We're gonna snap it to the target. We're gonna also snap this to the target, the rotation. Or maybe the rotation, no. We can keep the word. Because if we make the boomerang rotate around, yeah, let's snap it to the target. Or let's keep it word and let's see how it goes. Scale rule, let's just keep it the word. Okay, we can start testing it, but first let's go back to the boomerang and actually fill this information. How do I get the boomerang reference? Well, we just need to ask for the self, a reference to self, which it can also be called this, right? Yeah, but you get other type of this, so we want self. Let's test it. Let's see what's happening now. Ah, pretty cool. Now, the problem right now is that my coin, my static mesh, do have a collision, right? Which I don't really want because if I touch this, I want this coin to just disappear, right? So here, I'll just, in the static mesh, excuse me, I'm just going to remove the collision. So here, no collision. Save, compile. Now this gets rid of the problem that my coin is pushing me. But I do have the coin there. I do want to get the coin. Now, what were we talking about before about who initiates what? Well, if you remember, I told you that because my character was initiating the interaction, I was putting that information there. Now, doing it like that could kind of mess you up if you're not using an interface because you will need to cast to what thing you're interacting with. But in this case, I can use the same logic. Where is my combat character? Instead of doing it like this, because if I just follow this reasoning, like I would need to, okay, let's cast to the blueprint coin and something like that, something like this. And this is not good. This is super bad. This is really not how you would like to build a system because, okay, now you add a chest. Are you overlapping a chest? Okay, let's add another cast. And then add another cast for whatever thing that you want to be getting or grabbing or interacting with, right? So yeah, that's not a good idea. So instead, I'm going to be creating another interface to grab things, right? Or to pick ups, to pick up pickups, right? So again, we're gonna create another interface, blueprint interface. And as you can see, whenever you're prototyping, it's you don't really need to have everything planned out. I mean, I had an overall structure, but as you see things like repeating themselves and as you see things that could be done a lot better, like in this case, immediately I know like, oh, this is going to be a mess. This is going to be a thing that you would need to maintain in the future, and it's going to load. This loads the boomerang, this loads the coin. It's not going to be very performant in the long run. Then we can do something about it when we notice it. Like immediately, oh, this is being done twice. This is going to be loading a lot of classes. Let's use an interface. Let's create a function that can reuse some logic. That's usually the way that you want to be developing stuff. Otherwise, sometimes you get too stuck thinking on the best way that you can do something, but because you haven't done it before, you're bound to make mistakes, and that's okay. So just start and do notice when you can do something better. And it will get easier with practice. So at the start, if you're completely new, you don't need to worry too much about it. So here I'll just put it as pickups because I can pick up a weapon, I can pick up coins. Pick up, pick up actions. And here, pick up. As simple as that. Now, it's probably something that I will uh, have to do here. For example, let's go back to the combat character. If you see our boomerang, we need to tell it which character grabbed this boomerang. So again, I do need an input that will be a character. In my case, it could be a pawn in your case, or even an actor. In my case, it's a character. Pickup. This will be the character that picked this up. Reference. Save, compile. I can close it. And with the coin, it's very simple. Class settings, let's add our interface. Pickup. We will have this pickup. And when this gets picked up, well, we will call the collect coin. And in the collect coin there, we could also add some score or whatever. But you get the idea. You get the idea. I'm going to put these two near each other so it's easier to find them. And now, because I have not messed around with any of the other code. Let's press play. When the coin comes, oh, I didn't pick it up. Of course, I didn't pick it up because here I have not set it up to the other actor. I mean, this is implementing the event pickup, but this character is not initiating that interaction. That communication has not started. When you're communicating between blueprints, it's a good idea to know, okay, there must be a sender, there must be a receiver, and there must be a message. Here we have the sender, but we didn't start with the receiver or the message, right? So here, the other actor, I'll just call pickup. And what is the character that is picking this up? Well, self. And that's pretty much it. Now, whenever this collides with something, it's going to try and pick it up. Now, I haven't done the check if the interface is being actually implemented or not. And I'm not doing it so this code can run. But also, it's not necessary most of the times. Because if you call an interface function on an actor that hasn't implemented the interface, you do not get an error. It just gets ignored. So yeah, it's really not a problem. So now let's press play. Now let's try to get it on the first shot. And we pick it up now. This should happen again. If we manage to get it, perfect. We can stun it. I mean, we could. It's colliding with the floor. Yeah, but we are getting, and we can get get that, and also, and also, and also get that coin. Now, that thing that is happening right now is because I didn't stay stationary. So it is actually just floating around me, trying to get to me, which is something that we should fix. But let's just fix it at the end. Right now, we have the coin working. We get the coins. If for whatever reason we have multiple coins, we should be able to get multiple coins on one shot. Right? Yeah, we get the multiple coins and we collect them. Right? Just before I end this section and start a section where we're just polishing whatever we have, um, I want to get the boomerang picked up the same way, right? So here in the boomerang, I'm going to implement the interface called pickups, pickup actions, and now in interfaces, pickup, and now I'll just copy and paste this, uh, this information. Now, I do have a problem because this grab the weapon, I'm not going to be able to set it up in the boomerang. I mean, I could, but it would mean that I would need to cast from the boomerang to the combat character. So yeah, let's do something like that. Just so I can show you what I mean. We don't need to cast the boomerang. We are already we are already in the boomerang. Grabbed by which character? Which this one. If we use the self one, it means this boomerang, and I don't want the boomerang to get grabbed by itself. And if this is true, then we set up the grab weapon. Okay, how do we set that? We need to cast to my blueprint combat character. And I don't want it here. I want it at the end. Set grabbed weapon. And this one should be self. Let's organize it a little bit. So this is how the event pickup should be looking like. We try to grab it. If we do grab it, then we set up the grabbed weapon. We could try to put this in our combat character, but it would mean that I would need to modify this or create another interface that has only like pickup weapon, or maybe create another function that says, oh, this is a weapon. Okay, let's just pick a weapon. So I'm just solving it this way, but you have the tools to do it in whatever fashion that you would like. Right, so now, I mean, it should work exactly the same. We grab the weapon, we can send it, and get the coins. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good if I do say so myself. Yeah, so we're pretty much done. We have solved all the things that were asked this time. But I did want to polish this a little bit. For example, the boomerang. It is a static mesh. I do want it to rotate when it's thrown. Right? So here, I'm just going to create a timeline. And it's not add timeline component, it's add timeline. This will be called T for timeline. Boomerang rotation. Inside of it is going to be a track, but the length will be 1. Add a flow track is going to be from 0 to 1. I just need a simple 0, 0, and the other one will be 1, 1. And what else do I need here? I think I do need to loop this. Yeah, let's loop it. Okay, that's pretty much it. And let's go back again to my timeline. This timeline is going to update the rotation of this static mesh, because this static mesh is my boomerang mesh, which in my case is an axe, but well, what can you do about it? And I want it to rotate like this in the jaw. And that jaw angle is it will be the C1, right? Yeah. It's blue, so it's the C1. So here we will just set the actor, set relative rotation, and the roll on the pitch will be the same. So let's get relative rotation. Let's split it. Yeah, let's split it and connect this like that. And this one is the one that's going to be changing. This is going to be a linear interpolation. This new track, I don't want it to be called new track. I'll just call it alpha. And the alpha will be connected to, guess what? The alpha. The starting value will be 0 and the ending will be 180. I mean, it could be, yeah, 360. So we can actually do the whole way around. And just to test it, in this timeline, I'm going to put it autoplay. So we can press play and see if it's actually rotating. It should be faster. I could just move this here and be done with it, and then move around the keys, but I don't really like to do that. I prefer to go to the begin play, get the component, the timeline component, and set the play rate to something that I want, like twice the speed. So let's just put it 2. Maybe faster, maybe 3 times the speed. And you can test it, like if you throw it, maybe you liked it, maybe you want it to be faster. Probably I want it to be faster. Yeah, 5 times the speed. Now we just need to determine when it should be playing, right? Right? And let's just go back to the timeline. Let's remove that autoplay. And when we throw it, when we activate this thing, yeah, because we're doing stuff here. When we throw it, we want to get the timeline, and we're gonna play from the start. So we activate it, we play from the start, and then we do the things that we need to do. Let's press play. It's not moving. We throw it. It is moving. And now stays moving. So now we need to, when we grab it, we deactivate this. We make it stop. And just to keep like everything related to the projectile movement first, and then we do something of the visual stuff, then we can attach the component. If it gets too long, as you can see, I usually prefer to have a sequence. Like, okay, first we're doing this, which is related to handling the boomerang. Then we're handling the attachment, like this, right? It's the same thing, but I don't want it to be connected. So it's it's like this. Now I don't know why it reorganized it like that, but yeah, this is stuff that I'll be doing first, and the other things are stuff that I'll be doing second. For me, it's a little bit better to organize it like this, and it's better for me if I can share the screenshot to other people that I'm working with. Like, hey, for example, this works like this, right? Otherwise, you're going to be doing like this, and it's not really a good experience, right? We're stopping it when we grab it. So let's see, we have a problem. Yeah. I mean, the only problem that I can see is that now look at how we're holding the axe. So it would be a good idea that, okay, we stop the rotation and we set the relative rotation back to zero. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done it. Like this. So we press play, we get it, and it's back in its good position. That's pretty good. Also, I wanted to change this sphere. I believe it's too big, maybe. So maybe 25. And also, let's go back to the event graph. Let's remove this debug. Let's put it to none, and we can delete this because we're not using it. Again, we could have been using it for other things instead of using this begin overlap sphere. But I mean, whatever floats your boat. Let's fix this issue that we ran into when we were testing the game, where if we just, let's say, throw it that way and then we move around, then it has a hard time returning to us. And again, you may want it to have it like that. But if you don't, if you want it to return always to you after the first comeback, you just need to modify that. Where is it? Here's my boomerang. The throw, no, the return. You just need to modify this, the homing acceleration value. If you put it too fast from the start, you're not gonna even see it returning. So what I'm thinking I'm gonna do is use that timeline that only happens when you have thrown something. And by using the timeline, I can update that magnitude. So I can get the projectile movement, set magnitude, homing acceleration magnitude, and I'm only want to set it when this is a homing. So get homing projectile. So if this is true, then we set it up something like this. And there are two ways of doing it. You can get, which you will need to do it in both ways that I'm going to mention, but you need to get the current value of the acceleration magnitude. And you can either add, let's say, 1,000 and be done with it. So we press play, you throw it, and it will come back to you. It won't matter if you move around or not. Do I have a sprint here? Yeah, I think it will really depend on how fast your character can move. You can either add, or if you want it to be a little more snappy at the end, snappy. Yeah, you will see what I mean. You can multiply, and by a super low value, maybe 1.1. This will make it return at the end even faster. And right now I'm losing frames. Let me just. Okay, now I'm not losing frames. Now you can see it. It will return faster to me because multiplying stuff will make it faster at the end. I like it better. But again, it's up to you. Oh, I punched before I got the boomerang. Right. So let me just leave it as a multiplication. And that's how you fix that little issue. And those were the two things that I wanted to talk about in this polishing section. So hopefully this was useful to you. I mean, for me, it's a blast always to create mechanics, and I really like them. So I really like when you guys ask me more questions like this, or well, guys and gals. We do have a percentage, even though it's not that much, but we do. So subscribe if you want to increase the percentage. And yeah, a lot of people do not subscribe, but we're always like trying and testing different types of videos. And I mean, this is the type of video that I love to make. It takes a little bit of time, and I know it won't get that much views, but hopefully it does. Who knows? So yeah, do catch us when we are streaming. There you can ask questions. I mean, you can leave a question also in the comment, but again, depending on the type of question, I may or may not be inclined to make a video on it. Here, as you saw, like it was a donation, so it's like, oh, might as well. I mean, I did answer the question, but I think that actually doing it, would have been interesting. So that's why I end up making this video. So if you like it, give it a like, subscribe. If you want to support us, you can join the channel. And if you can hype the video, I believe it's something that YouTube is rolling out, and it's only being done on mobile. If you can hype it, it really helps. And yeah, I will catch you in the next video. Take care and have fun developing your games.